Hello and welcome. This is AMECO Haber English service and you're watching our daily updates. I'm Gaila Damu. Stay with us. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed said Ethiopia has good relations with all neighboring countries. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed said Ethiopia has created good diplomatic relationship with neighboring countries including Sudan in the efforts made over the past 3 months. Burhan Warkana has the details.
The Premier made the remark in his briefings to the House of People's Representatives yesterday. He stressed that the uniqueness of Ethiopia's diplomacy is freedom, equality and fairness that will never change from time to time or government to government. Mentioning about the issue of resolving African problems by Africans themselves, the Prime Minister said all Africans have full conviction in the idea that African problems can be addressed by Africans themselves. Abiy also stressed the need for creating win-win approach with a view to registering a common victory. Ethiopia has been establishing good relations with Sudan, the Premier pointed out, indicating that the country will facilitate conducive environment to create good relations with the brotherly people of Sudan with a view to developing together. Sudan has fully been on the side of Ethiopia during the diplomatic pressures exerted on Ethiopia, he revealed, extending his gratitude to the government of Sudan.
የኛን ጎረቤቶች በሚመለከት ከኤርትራ ከጅቡቲ
As to our neighbors, efforts have been made over the past 3 months to create good relations with Eritrea, Djibouti, Somalia, Kenya, South Sudan, including Sudan. We have also seen encouraging progress in this regard. We had some disagreements with Sudan, but currently our relation with Sudan is in a better situation as things have been holding good standing.
ሱዳን የኢትዮጵያ ጋር ሆና ነው የሰራችው። በመጨረሻው ውጊያ ሱዳን ምንም አይነት ድጋፍ አላደረገችም። በጣም እናመሰግናታለን።
The Premier also thanked the neighboring African nations that have supported Ethiopia in its effort to bring lasting peace in the country. Moreover, Abiy extended gratitude to countries and governments which have supported Ethiopia in its efforts to bring peace in the country, including the government of South Africa and Kenya. He also extended thanks to former President of Nigeria, Olusegun Obasanjo, former President of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta, the government of America, governments of European Union countries, countries in the Middle East and Far East for their support to peace in Ethiopia.
Major General Tashome Gamechu said the National Defense Force is ready to implement Nairobi Peace Agreement. National Defense Force International Relations and Military Cooperation Director General Major General Tashome Gamechu said the National Defense Force is committed to implementing the peace agreement signed between the commanders of the Defense Force and TPLF in Nairobi, Kenya on Saturday. And Nathaniel reports.
Briefing military attached residing in Addis Ababa on the commitment of the National Defense Force to implement the agreement, Major General Tashome stated that the Defense Force is ready to implement the agreement and would continue respecting the agreement reached. The Director General appreciated the attached for their continuous advice and support for peace and security in Ethiopia and called on them and partners to continue their respective efforts during the implementation.
As we proceed in the disengagement, disarmament, retraining, integration of armed combatant in short time to come, your overall support in training and related to technical and capacity building demonstrators and all other activities related to this peace agreement is quite vital.
Expressing the commitment of the Defense Force for lasting peace and security in the country, Major General Tashome reiterated National Defense Force's commitment and readiness to implement the agreement. According to him, the National Defense Force will continue the work that it has already started in coordination, security provision, and facilitation of humanitarian aid to Amhara, Afar, and Tigray regions. The Director General elaborated that the National Defense Force members have already begun demonstrating their affiliation to the people of Tigray by engaging in harvesting crops of farmers, raising money for people in need, providing medical service, and facilitating return of displaced people to their domicile. The military attaches of embassies residing in Addis Ababa condemned the agreement reached for lasting peace. It is to be recalled that after the signing of the peace agreement between the government of Ethiopia and the TPLF in Pretoria, South Africa, this month, the commander on the two sides also agreed on the full implementation of the agreement in Nairobi, Kenya on Saturday.
Prime Minister Abiy disclosed that the ban on importing of luxury items saves about $1 billion per year. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed said that the ban imposed on importing of 39 different products which are considered as luxury items will save about $1 billion per year. Abebe Brahani tells us more.
The government of Ethiopia has banned 38 different products which are considered as luxury items, which include packaged food, household items, furniture, beauty products and automobiles, and different types of liquor imports in a circular order written by the Ministry of Finance to the National Bank of Ethiopia on October 14, 2022. It is to be recalled that the government has reached to the decision to ban those items to utilize the limited hard currency available for import of important items like medicines, agricultural inputs, capital goods and raw materials for local industries. Accordingly, banning such items will benefit to prioritize other essential basic agricultural products, as some of the stated luxury products are exposed for black market. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed said to the House of People's Representatives that, as per to the National Bank, Ethiopia spends $18 billion on 6,000 imported goods. Only 39 of these commodities have been prohibited. Abiy said last year alone the nation has spent $1 billion on imported products, the same amount it spent on fertilizer. The decision was made to give domestic products a chance, as the commodities are vulnerable to the black market and are not essential commodities. He said the nation gains more than it loses through the decision, adding that the prohibition could be improved in the future.
Japan is further strengthening its cooperative works in the Amhara region. Japan's ambassador to Ethiopia, Ito Takako, and other dignitaries visit various project sites funded by Japan's organization in the Amhara region. The ambassador said that Japan will sustain its diplomatic strategy of investing on the people in Amhara region and Ethiopia at large. Modomulie has the story.
Ethiopia and Japan have enjoyed a long history of diplomatic relationship. Their strong bilateral cooperation dates back to the early 1930s. Currently, the Japanese government is applying an investing on the people diplomatic approach in Ethiopia, and particularly in the Amhara region.
I believe that this project will help not only the Amhara region, but also people in Ethiopia in other regions and all over the world to improve sustainable development in arid lands. Science and technology play a crucial role in the development of sustainable economy. The SATREPS is designed to promote international joint research between Japan, Japanese universities, and those of recipient countries. Although Japan and Ethiopia are so far apart geographically, I hope knowledge and know-how will be transferred to Ethiopia through this program.
The two Japanese organizations, JICA SATREPS Project for Development of Next Generation Sustainable Land Management and Tottori University in cooperation with Bahar Dar University, are running various projects in the Amhara region. President of Bahar Dar University, Dr. Freutadeng, appreciated JICA's cooperation.
I think today it is special because we have Her Excellency Ambassador Ito Takako amongst us, and this shows how serious it is becoming. For me, the next generation sustainable land management is an innovative approach that by conserving soil, by conserving water, we are increasing productivity, production and productivity, and we are securing food and nutrition to these very innocent but desperate people who needs our intervention. Last time we signed an agreement with the strategic partners, Bureau of Agriculture, RRE, even the Ministry of Education signed on our behalf that our commitment should continue.
Ensuring sustainable land and water resource management, health, education, technology and improving the livelihood of the community are some of the priority areas of the cooperation. JICA SATRIPS renders financial and technical support to the projects, while Tottori University and Bahardar University in cooperation plays a role of study and research regarding the projects. Japan's ambassador to Ethiopia, Her Excellency Ito Takako, and other dignitaries from the Japanese embassy had a field trip to visit how effectively the projects are being implemented. Satisfied with the sight of what's done so far, the ambassador vowed to work to further strengthen and sustain the cooperation with the Amhara region and extend the experience to other regions in Ethiopia.
And the success of this project will encourage ever more science and technology development partnership activities between our two countries. Indeed, I am aware that two SATRIPS projects conducted in Ethiopia have been regarded as successful examples by the Japanese side who are involved in SATRIPS. And we are looking forward to receiving more of good proposals from Ethiopia. The government of Japan will continue to provide assistance for the development of Ethiopia, such as through projects related to science and technology. Lastly, I strongly hope that this project will become a symbol of the goodwill of the Japanese people and further deepen the friendship between the people of Japan and the people of Ethiopia, and help to develop research between Japanese and Ethiopian universities and other institutions.
Animal and plant crossbreeding and technologies developed to help minimize soil erosion are among the project sites visited by the crew of dignitaries, including Ambassador Ito Takako. Members of the community who are beneficiaries from the projects witnessed their significance.
Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has hailed the service sector for registering encouraging achievements by overcoming all the challenges faced during the concluded budget year. Abebe Burhani reports.
Ethiopian Airlines, Ethio Telecom and the financial sectors have significantly contributed for the service sector and the nation's economy in general. Addressing the parliament, Abiy noted that the service sector has registered an encouraging performance during the concluded budget year. The service sector registered 7.6% growth, with the biggest contribution of the Ethiopian Airlines, Ethio Telecom and the finance sectors. Ethio Telecom reached 68.9 million subscribers, as 25.5 million people are now using Telebir mobile banking service within short period of time. He said that a transaction of some 134 billion birr has been undertaken through Telebir within short period of time. The finance sector registered a 21% growth during the stated period. Regarding the banking sector, its total asset has reached 2.3 trillion and over 80 million customers. The total amount of bank deposits has reached 1.6 trillion birr. According to the Premier, the nation plans to register 7.5% growth by the end of the current budget year. By the end of the concluded budget year, Ethiopia's economy reached to 126.7 billion US dollar. According to the World Bank, Ethiopia's economy is the largest economy in East Africa and the third largest in Sub-Saharan Africa. Last year, the nation registered 6.4% growth despite all the man-made and natural challenges, including internal conflict, Russia-Ukraine war, drought and COVID-19, among others.
You're watching AMECO Hebrew English service, and now let's proceed to news beyond borders. Tunisian President Kais Saied was part of EU-Africa Summit in Brussels on 18 February 2022. The European Union on Monday granted €100 million to Tunisia, a country in the midst of a political and financial crisis. The EU support program aims to support economic recovery efforts and to consolidate the progress already made in the distribution of social aid to needy citizens and businesses, said the EU delegation in Tunisia in a statement. The first immediate disbursement of €40 million is granted to Tunisia under this program, signed by the EU ambassador to Tunisia, Marcus Cornaro, and the Minister of Economy and Planning, Samir Said. The disbursement of the rest of the sum will be made on the basis of effective progress in the implementation of structural reforms initiated by Tunisia, according to the statement. According to the statement, this gift is part of the reforms agreed by Tunisia with the International Monetary Fund for a future program. Since the revolution of 2011, Tunisia has sunk into economic difficulties aggravated by the COVID-19 pandemic, with growth at half-mast and very high unemployment. Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February deepened this crisis in a country highly dependent on grain and fuel imports, two sectors where prices are soaring. Suffocating from a debt exceeding 100% of GDP, Tunisia obtained in mid-October an agreement in principle from the International Monetary Fund for a new loan of some $2 billion to be disbursed in installments starting in December. The upward trend threatens to leave even more people in developing countries further behind. The United Nations said the world's population is projected to reach 8 billion marks on Tuesday. Brown Workena has the story.
The projection came in a United Nations report released in July, which said much of the growth expected between now and 2050 is coming from just 8 countries. Half of those are in sub-Saharan Africa: Nigeria, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Ethiopia and Tanzania. The United Nations said populations in that region are growing at 2.5%, more than 3 times the global average. Still, experts said the bigger threat to the environment is consumption, which is highest in developed countries not undergoing big population increases. The report also said India is expected to overtake China next year as the world's most populous country. The upward trend threatens to leave even more people in developing countries further behind, as governments struggle to provide enough classrooms and jobs for a rapidly growing number of users, and food insecurity becomes an even more urgent problem. It projected that the world's population will reach approximately 8.5 billion in 2030, 9.7 billion in 2050, and 10.4 billion in 2100. Other countries rounding out the list with the fastest growing populations are Egypt, Pakistan, the Philippines and India. Rapid population growth also means more people vying for scarce water resources, and it leaves more families facing hunger as climate change increasingly affects crop production in many parts of the world. The population growth in sub-Saharan Africa can be attributed to people living longer, but family size remains the driving factor. Women in sub-Saharan Africa on average have 4.6 births, twice the current global average of 2.3%. At the same time, a small portion of the world's population uses most of the resources and produces most of the greenhouse gas emissions, said Pona Mutarija, Executive Director of the Population Foundation of India. Mutarija said, over the past 25 years, the richest 10% of the global population has been responsible for more than half of all carbon emissions. Charles Kenny, a senior fellow at the Center for Global Development in Washington, said, environmental concerns surrounding the 8 billion mark should focus on consumption, particularly in developed countries. He said, population is not the problem, the way we consume is the problem. Let's change our consumption patterns.
That's all the news we have for today. I'm Gaila Damu. Thanks for watching and stay tuned with the rest of our programs.